Hi, Professor Richmond. It's Lisa here, ready to do my lesson plan number 3 for instructional software. And I'm continuing with the Teoria website because I think it's so cool. This lesson plan is called Interval Ear Training Dictation Practice using Teoria. I designed this for my 5th grade music students, general music. I meet with them once a week. Again, I think this would be a good exercise for a portion of a class. I wouldn't necessarily do an entire 45-minute class on it, but it would be a great way for individuals to brush up their individual skills and progress through ear training. So I would, in this task, I would have them practice melodic interval dictation, so they could be listening to seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and octaves. I would set the parameters for their first practice to maybe just major intervals and perfect intervals, but those are all adjustable depending on the level of students that you're working with or what their previous training is. They would be working independently on a computer or iPad, and Teoria allows them to notate what they hear, repeat examples, compare audio examples to their notated example, and then receive a score result on their work. This activity would also be good for a rotation set, or maybe as an alternate activity if I was working with another group on assessments or something like that, or a small group activity, they could do it together. So they're going to be practicing identifying their melodic intervals. They're going to be using the software to compare their work with the audio example, and they're going to be practicing through repeated listening and repeated attempts. They could also individually adjust the level of difficulty, the range of notes, or whether or not the notes are heard melodically or harmonically. So that could give a lot of differentiation in your group. The prerequisite skills would be they would need to recognize, understand, and identify these intervals, either melodically or harmonically, depending on how you set it up. They would have to understand how to use Teoria software and how to save the score, which it depends on whether or not the teacher has a membership or student group set up. If you have a membership set up, then they can record their scores in your teacher group. If you're just using the free version, they can just show you the score that they get. They're going to need an iPad or a computer that has internet access and headphones for listening individually. And then they're also going to need a set of setup parameters if you want everyone starting from the same point. In my printed lesson plan, you'll see all the standards, state Florida standards and a national standard. The time area addressed is instructional software. And here we go. So if you go to the Teoria website, then you have to open exercises. Then under exercises, you select ear training, which is, actually it's under intervals. And, wait a minute, yes, that's right. Ear training is here, and then you select intervals. And then we're gonna do interval from selected note for this particular one. A more advanced group could do a random note, I think, but I think it'd be good for them to drill from a fixed pitch. Okay, so the guidelines that I would set them up for would be key of C major. We're going to do all the intervals here. And we're just doing major intervals to start with. So they have perfect fourth, fifth, and octave, but then they have the major second, third, sixth, and seventh. We're going to do ascending. You have your choice here of ascending or descending. We're going to do melodic, so they hear each note separately first. And I think we are going to have them answer with the interval. So these are just different setups that you can have depending on what you want them to see when they're putting their answer up. I like to pick a pretty slow tempo so they have plenty of time to listen and hear the example. This is a nice choice here too. You can give them the option to show the correct one. So let's go ahead and check that. Otherwise they can retry it. We're going to stay on treble clef for now. You could also set that you wanted to stop after a certain time or a certain number of exercises. I'm just going to leave that go for now, and we'll get started. Okay, now if you miss it, they're allowed to hear it again. So say I think that's an octave, I'm going to click on that. It's going to show me the note that I picked, and it's going to tell me if I got it right or got it wrong. It's also going to show me how long I'm taking, what my score is. So say I think that's a perfect fourth. Aha. So it was really a perfect fifth. So it's showing me the correct answer, it's showing the pitch. It played what I did. I said it was a fourth, and it played that so that I could compare the two, but then it's printing out, it's demonstrating the correct one finally. So now I reversed them, and it was a fourth this time. So you can see how they could practice with this. It's showing me my score. Yay, it repeated the one that I needed help with, which is also a nice feature. And then they could, they could do this for 5 or 10 minutes, check, maybe change parameters, change keys, increase the tempo. You could also try it harmonically. Let's go back and change the settings so you can see how that differs. So here's the harmonic example. So we'll just pick that. Sorry, it was over there. Okay, so it's playing them together. Sounds like a second to me. Yay! Sounds like our tritone. Whoops. Okay, so clearly I need to practice a little bit with this. Oh, major seventh. So you can see how it works. So they could really get some good ear training in with this, either hearing each note separately for an interval or both notes together. And future related connected lesson plans would be going on to more advanced levels like descending examples, faster tempos, harmonic examples, different clef signs, doing the answer by the note name instead of by the interval, or you could also do it answering using a visual keyboard. If you've got kids with keyboard skills or you are trying to teach them keyboard skills, you could use that parameter as well. That is my lesson plan.